Welcome to What's in a Game. To nugget or not to nugget? That is the question. Today, we discuss the tragic comedy of the 2026 Denver Nuggets and ask the question, which of their foibles will be their downfall? Stay tuned. Welcome back to What's in a Game. I'm here, Grace Jean, here with my co-host, Will Jones. How are you doing today, Will? Happy Thursday, TGIT.
Happy Thursday, I guess. So it's a down Thursday for Nuggets fandom. I'm glad you started with a Shakespeare quote. I was watching the DNVR Losers Lounge, and D-Line tried to quote Hamlet and said something stinks in Denmark. What was the quote? He was confused.
That sounds familiar. I think something's stinks.
Something's rotten in the state of Denmark.
Yeah, something's rotten in the state of Denmark.
From Hamlet, and then Harrison Wynn said, I haven't seen that. And I'm like...
Oh, gosh.
And I'm like, come from DNVR, the show that doesn't know Shakespeare, to this show, which is named after a Shakespeare quote.
Yes, come to the way more pretentious show. It's funny. If we actually had like snippets of our pre-show conversations where we're just like being like, well, Will's like the real movie snob. I'm like a fake movie snob. And that's what we were discussing pre-show.
Yeah.
Yes, tragic comedy. That's one of my favorite. First of all, one of my favorite genres of play, if not my favorite genre of play, honestly. Also, it helped that like whenever we read one in high school, like they were the short ones. But I just thought they were really funny and sarcastic and dark in like a subtle way, you know? Speaking of tragic comedies, wearing my New York Yankees hat in dishonor of Aaron Judge choking once again. Leading to Team USA's downfall in the World Baseball Classic. Is that the name of this tournament? Whatever. Venezuela won. We had a lot of memes about there was the one that was the like meme that the Oscars created of Leo, and the caption was like President Maduro or Nicolas Maduro watching Venezuela win the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah, that was a funny one.
I thought that was kind of silly. Yeah, so today's show, we're going to talk about the Denver Nuggets. There's not a lot of... It's like a pretty slow news kind of... Not time of year, because like this has been a really busy news time of year in seasons past for the NBA at large. A lot of the news that we have is like stuff that is supposed to happen later. We've got some ramblings about expansion votes that are supposed to be coming.
Which actually is one of the reasons why I think we lost last night.
Because of how?
Because Memphis was pissed that people were like, relocate them to Tennessee. And they were like, wait a second.
Well, you know what?
Hell no, we're going to kick Denver's ass just to show everybody.
In pregame... David Adelman was asked about expansion, and he talked about like, you know, they should make sure that that Seattle gets their team back and Portland should stay where it is and all that. And then he made a comment about Nashville being nice.
Yeah, that too.
So it was maybe it was explicitly against David Adelman.
Yeah, that's what I meant. That they wanted to move them to Nashville or wherever the hell, or being moved east in the Eastern Conference.
I've actually never been to Memphis, but like Nashville is not like a very...
Nashville is the bachelorette party capital of the world. So if you want to go and watch a bunch of girls in cowboy boots run around and screaming, then you can go there.
Did you watch the Bachelorette special? I haven't seen it.
No, I just mean bachelorette party.
Like bachelorette parties.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I could also see ABC being like, yeah, we're going to film our Bachelorette special in Nashville and like try to get more of America's heartland to watch our show.
Yeah, and people in Memphis don't like Nashville. I feel like there's a little bit of a rivalry. So if you say that their team should move to Nashville, that's like the easiest way to piss off fans in Memphis.
JMK says, I thought something stinks in Denmark was related to political or moral decay. I don't see how it's related to the Nuggets. I think that the ideal, the ideal form of the joke for relating to the Denver Nuggets, just as a like a tangential reference, would have been something's rotten in the city of Denver, like something like that, where you just mimic the the
Well,
sentence structure, and
mhm.
then
Yeah, there's
kind of go from there.
Denmark, Denver,
Denver, yeah.
and Hamlet. Hamlet's dad is dead and had just been buried in the ground, so he's literally rotting in the ground. But also, there's an evil,
Oh, that's
corrupt plan
true. See, I only
to
connected it to
kill
the
the king.
plan. I wasn't connecting it to the rotting
Yeah.
body.
Well, I was an English major as well, so I've read
This is
Hamlet and
why
seen
I
it a lot.
barely
So,
passed English. So,
yes.
although I did, and like Hamlet was one of my favorites as well.
But the core of the idea was there's something rotten, something's going on, something in this
Something
team,
stinks.
something is
Something
rotten, and something's going on
stinks.
in this team. And what is it? We all have our theories.
Yeah, we gotta get to the bottom of this. Anyway, so that's kind of it for like the NBA news segment of it. Before we dive into the Denver Nuggets portion of this, please do us a favor and hit the like and subscribe buttons. Helps us out with the YouTube algorithm as we continue to try and grow the channel. I just feel like we're gonna get a lot more subs once playoff time rolls around, assuming Denver makes it, which
We
we
need
will
to win
also
some
discuss.
playoff rounds for that to happen.
Yeah. All right. Segment 1. Let's talk about just kind of how the last few weeks have gone. We're going to break down a little bit of film, but this is really more of a commiseration show because, as we've alluded to, Denver has not been doing as well as expected of a team with the aspirations that they have. Oh, wait. Could you bring up that Midsummer Night's stream? Denver Nuggets, a mid-seasons night stream. Yeah, I was thinking of that aspect of Midsummer Night's Dream where they're all like they are like all in love with the wrong people, and like timing is like a thing. And it kind of reminds me of how with this team they're like never all playing well at the same time. It's a lot of like missed connections.
Mm-hmm. I felt like that in the Memphis game
For sure.
too.
For sure.
It was like a microcosm. It was like some people did some
We've
things
had
well, but
so many games that
mostly
were
bad
microcosms of like this season. I feel like we use
Mhm.
that like once every other show, at least, because
Yeah.
there've been like, tragic comedy of errors. That's just like
Mhm.
what the season has been and what the team has been, at different points of the season in a variety of ways, which is what kind of makes it like a little bit funny. Like there were points in last night's game where I didn't know whether to laugh or be angry, and so I ended up just kind of being flat, which is
Yeah.
disappointing because that's not how you should feel as a sports fan, right? Like we watch sports for the adrenaline rush. At least I do.
Mhm.
I'm an adrenaline.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been fun watching the Nuggets as much this season. I put a poll on Twitter about how people feel about it, whether they feel like it's just okay, injuries suck, or I am very frustrated. This season is horrible. But I don't know. You look like you just got news or something.
We were talking about Nashville on the stream, right?
Mm-hmm.
My friend just sent me a screenshot that ABC pulled this season of The Bachelorette just now because of they were supposed to be. It was supposed to premiere next week, and they just posted this like preseason special. And there have been domestic violence accusations, and they've pulled the season. Apparently,
Oh, wow.
So that's what I just read.
Hey, if you want pop culture news, come into What's in a Game. But just to get back to Nuggets, RX Mar, he is the eternal Nuggets optimist, will never quit. This loss made me hopeful for the team. See, he's hopeful. No
hey,
rest,
Ray.
most back-to-backs, no Gordon, no Watson, CB and Cam playing amazing. Grizzlies are a good team. Windrome plays. Yeah, okay. Like he's bringing up a lot of stuff that I wanted to kind of talk about throughout the show. I am coaching my nephew's basketball team, so I have practices a lot, and I'm missing these games in the moment. So I didn't watch the game last night. I saw the score. I watched it this morning just to get like a feel for the game. So I wasn't reacting in live in in the moment to where I would be more upset. That's how I was during the Lakers game, which I was watching. And when you're invested in the whole like story of the game and you have a chance to win and you feel like you need to win all these games down the stretch, fans feel like we need to win it. So when we don't, it's super frustrating. I get that. And I was more like broken from the Lakers loss. We went on Four Corners and discussed that. That hasn't come out yet, but I don't know. I'll post it if it does. But I felt a little bit better after the Lakers loss. And then Memphis.
After processing.
Yeah. Like you kind of process these losses and then you feel better. Some fans are like, I'm out. This team doesn't have it. Adam Mara's obviously was talking about that. So you can land really anywhere with this team at this point. But yeah, that's what we're here to kind of discuss because it's a complicated thing. So
it's funny with the Lakers loss. Our show last week was so long we didn't get time to get to our predictions. But I actually would have predicted a loss for that game. I actually thought it was going to be a bigger loss. So the fact that it was close was, I guess, good. It was just more like the way that it went was more annoying to me because they did have a chance to win and they should have won, honestly, because they did play like the better team for like most of that second half and then just like, yeah, petered out at the end. And it wasn't just petering out, like there were coaching issues and things like that. And we'll touch on some of those things a little bit. Poppin says, wasn't one of the goals of the season to find the chemistry? Yes, Poppin. I think that was, and that's like I think that's the main goal of any 82 game season is for a team to find their rhythm, find their chemistry, whether they're trying to make the playoffs or not, like trying to, achieve some kind of something with the group that you have, right? Unless you're like a team like Brooklyn that purely exists well, maybe even Brooklyn has like found like their rhythm at different points in the season. But that gets derailed when you have your best player out for a month of the season in the middle of the season and you get nobody, you get very few games where everybody's healthy or even most people are healthy, in terms of like who, if you like weight it by like the minutes that everyone would play if everyone were healthy, right? We've had most of the injuries this season from three of the top four guys, I should say. 4 of the top 5 guys. It's really just Jamal, ironically, who's just kind of been like kind of an Iron Man for Denver this season.
Yeah. I mean, the Nuggets, like when we lose games like this, it sucks when you can blame Jokic the most, and we're gonna get there. But you can take all these silver linings away of, Cam playing better and CB playing better, which we're also gonna get to. So you could look at like the peripheral role players getting to a point that we want them to be. And then you kind of are worried less about Jokic because he's Jokic. Jamal's playing well, so you go, hey, Jamal's playing well. He's kind of hurt now, and he hasn't been playing as like consistently great as he was throughout the rest of the season. He's kind of going up and down. But
listen, if Jokic hadn't played the way that he played last night, this game would have been another one on Jamal. But he escaped because that was how poorly Jokic was playing.
And it's just like they're never able to put together a full picture. It's always like when Jokic and Jamal are bad, sometimes the role players are good, and when the role players are bad, it's like Jamal is trying to be the sole hero, and then Jokic has his injury. So it's like we just can never put it together in one package. And we're all just waiting for the playoffs for them to do it. And I don't know if that's going to happen or not. So.
They are too. I was going to talk about this at the end, but maybe it makes sense to dive into this aspect of like the coaching / leadership of the team. And we can group these two things before we dive into specifics. But you make this point about like, well, they have these like good stretches, even like within games where it's like, okay, that was like a really strong third quarter, or like that was a really strong like start to the beginning of the fourth quarter. Both of those things were true also in the Lakers game, right? And then they aren't able to finish things off at the end, or sometimes they are. But it feels very fluky. Or you have games like, well, it's the Utah Jazz, but like we're on a back-to-back and like this, that, and the other. Meanwhile, you watch other good teams and they're able to beat Utah at home, like Utah at home by like 30, 40 points. So you're like, where is the disconnect here? I think the Wolves just did that, by the way, with Ant out. A lot of people, by the way, this is like news, but it's not really. Like Ant has some knee inflammation. He's going to miss some time. They're like, oh, the Timberwolves are going to fall in the standings. I'm like, have you guys watched how the Timberwolves play without Ant? Like by and large over the last 3 years, not saying that they're better without Ant, but when like regular season time comes around and it's just like an easier rhythm for them to catch and like the ball moves more. I think that they are lost without him in playoff setting, but regular season, I'm like, oh no, they're about to go on a run, if anything. But yeah, well, how do you feel about this? Not really, not a phenomenon's not the right word, but this kind of recurring motif in Adelman's post game pressers in some of these losses, where he's like, well, we're like playing these good teams, these playoff teams, really close, and just kind of barely losing it at the end, or we have these good stretches, but we're not able to extend them either across games or within a game. And like I've seen a lot of discussion about how Adelman's nonchalantness is a problem for this team because they never seem to play with like a fire under their ass. And yeah, how do you feel about that aspect of like the coaching / leadership dynamic of this team?
Yeah, it's an interesting question and something I was kind of mad at Adelman after the Lakers game to where I was tweeting like we should fire him, but I always exaggerate on Twitter, but the reality is
no, you
yeah, I'm so much more chill in person and on this show, obviously.
So much more chill.
Anyway, so Adelman, yeah, I mean, I knew people who were worried about Adelman being too chill going into the season and were like, he's not like assertive enough. He's not a commanding voice. And I mean, Matt Moore's talked about it and I don't know, there's been like Jokic talking about the firing of Malone and how he explained that in that interview was interesting. But ultimately, I feel like the sentiment was the players didn't want Malone constantly writing and yelling at them, and they were getting kind of sick of it. And whether or not you think that like means that they're kind of soft or whatever, I don't know. That's for the fans to decide. But I mean, at the same time, they're adults, they're professionals, they've won a title. Jamal and AG and Jokic are veterans at this point, and I kind of trusted them. I thought a more collaborative coach and leader who was kind of empowering them instead of like treating them like, Malone might have always kind of treated them as the young guys because he was with them from the beginning. And I feel like he never really shifted his perception into trusting them to be these veteran players, for better or worse. Maybe it turns out that they do need like a hard ass coach to really get into them. I have no idea. But after all these things are stacking up, whether it's Adelman's excuses or like we're talking about the schedule, or we're talking about injuries, or we're talking about back-to-backs, just being like, well, they didn't have it. Eventually, all these excuses pile up, and it is like, even though each of them aren't true, eventually it's like they start pushing your mind the other direction to start doubting. I mean, like, it's very natural to doubt considering all that. But with Adelman, I'm still not sure. I need to see the playoffs, and I think we're going to keep him through next season. We've seen coaches who are first-time coaches who kind of suck in their first year, and then the next year they kind of get it together. But we'll see. I don't know. How are you feeling on him?
So as a fan, the nonchalantness bothers me. I think one thing kind of separate of how you feel about his performance in terms of like coaching up the team, either behind the scenes, like locker room wise, or X's and O's stuff on the court. One thing that Malone tended to get right was kind of being the anger translator for the fans in instances like this. For the most part, there were sometimes where he had been kind of like too heated for a while, and then he'd try to like temper it down a bit because he could tell it was like, okay, it's getting to be a bit much, even like to the press. But that was something both in game and in like post game and whatever, where he's like, he seemed to hit on the not just the talking points, but like the tone that like a fan would want, which is maybe part of the problem, right? Because you don't want fans coaching your team necessarily. But I also don't think that I don't think that that's what Adelman was hired to do. As you point out, that was a really big point of emphasis. It felt like in all of the discussions about what they liked about David Adelman in the hiring process was like, he's this calm guy, and these guys are going to grow into that leadership role. The players are. And I do think that, yeah, the bigger issue is that the players who they expect to now set the tone for the team. And maybe that was always the case because Malone could like scream his head off and like this team would still like react like this. Like Denver has had games like this in the past, has had stretches like this in the past, has had seasons that don't quite look exactly like this in terms of like the clutch losses. But like this team has a certain character to it that is very like lackadaisical and isn't the type of team in terms of like their in terms of their basketball ethic that is going to go out and like win you 65 plus games. Because the way that you do that, as I touched on a little bit on the show, the easiest way to win games in the regular season, or the most predictive, is to be a good defense. And that's just not what this team does. And that requires effort in the modern NBA, like a lot of effort and all of this stuff, and like acting on a string, constant communication. But especially for a roster like this that doesn't have a lot of those guys that give you like margin for error on that end of the floor. Okay. Right. But so Malone could, do all that he was doing, and it doesn't change that aspect of the team because, as friend of the show, Matt Moore likes to say, a team is a reflection of their best player. Or players in this case. Like you can put it not just on Jokic, but also Jamal, but you have to put it on Jokic ultimately because he is the best player on this team. He is the leader of this team. He is the guy when they talk about wanting to have more vocal leadership that they're referring to, although Jamal has, at least in the past, like taken on some of that, and like the organization is saying his praises for that. But it's difficult when you have a player in Jokic that doesn't want to do that. And was the problem in this game a lack of vocal leadership? No, like the problem in this game is that Jokic had 10 turnovers. Right? They could have played better defensively, but it's difficult to, like, I saw there were some comments about like Jared Dudley's on a hot seat, and maybe he is over the course of the season because like the defense has not been good. I responded to a comment about that, but in this particular game, I look at it and say it's really difficult to play good defense when you turn the ball over 19 times and they're live ball turnovers. Like this was not. There were like a couple of offensive fouls in there, but like the player who has the ball in his hands the most in Jokic turned the ball over 10 times, and I think only one of them was an offensive foul, and maybe one or two more was like an out of bounds, so like dead ball turnover. The rest were live ball. We had so many other live ball turnovers from other guys too. So that's really bad. And part of like what led to these turnovers, and we're going to talk about this in the show, like it's going to be our first kind of clip segment here, is a lot of them were lackadaisical passes, like fatigue mistakes / I'm not going to take the time to like put this where it needs to be exactly. And when you combine that with the level of effort that the Grizzlies were putting in on the defensive end of the floor, especially when it came to trying to force turnovers, I actually didn't get a chance to look this up before the show to see if that is just a common defensive style for Memphis in terms of being a team that forces turnovers, and they're not like a good defensive team, but they're not the worst. They're like 22nd. They're like right behind Denver, so not great. But they were playing with a lot of effort last night, and it felt like, honestly, that the forcing turnovers was a real big point of emphasis for them. So I kind of wondered watching that game, is this how Memphis normally plays? Looks like they're 7th, so top 10, 7th in opponent turnover rate. Not the best, not the worst. I mean, like definitely one of the best in terms of being like in the top third of the league in that particular metric. Certainly better than Denver, who is still currently sitting at 30th in that regard, by the way. So yeah, I think that like the combination of the way that Jokic has decided to approach these games and the lack of like supplementing some of the associated errors with that, with like be as vocal as possible on defense, try to, I don't know, coach the team up at halftime. I don't know. being incredibly preoccupied with the refs since coming back from injury, basically. But especially post All-Star break, I would say. I don't even think he was that bad pre All-Star break after he came back from injury, but post All-Star break, it's been just like this constant thing. By the way, the refs were awful last night, but they're not why Denver lost this game. Like the refs are not like I went back and I was like, how many of these turnovers were like, oh, he got fouled, and I couldn't find one when I went through them. They were just like bad. Gabriel Greer says, I need to see Jokic matchup hunt when he's being guarded by Taj Gibson. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, just really quick before we get off top, because you brought up the refs, they got a lot of free throws in the second quarter, which is why they kind of
the Grizzlies.
Yeah, the Grizzlies, which is why they kind of stayed in the game, and we were doing okay. We're never doing great in this game, but you know, a lot of fouls, a lot on. I think Spencer had 3 fouls in that quarter, so that was a rough one. But like, I'm not blaming the refs either, but I keep thinking about like Jokic has looked very frustrated, even in the Sixers game, and even in the Memphis game. So
I don't even know what was going on in the Sixers game, because like in that one, I was like, Philly's not even trying today, dude.
Yeah, well, he's just. I mean, I am frustrated with the refs and the officiating and how guards are officiated versus how bigs are officiated. We know this story. We know that guards are allowed to really grab Jokic when they're fronting him and be physical. And people, or refs always kind of try to take away a big's advantage from just like, pummeling people. So they give them a little more leeway to have contact, which I get. But I mean, I'm frustrated watching it, and Jokic is the one living it and playing in these games. And so I can only imagine how he feels. And I know that he has said he's tried to curb that frustration and just focus, but he looks kind of distracted.
That was before.
He's distracted
that's
now.
Not been the case.
Yeah,
for the last
gotten
month.
to him. It's gotten to him. And when your best player can't focus, like I'm not blaming the refs and saying it's all because of that, but Jokic is not like focused. And I just think of Shea, who has the refs in his back pocket, for lack of a better term.
He hasn't been getting as good of a whistle recently as like he's the free throw numbers are still up, because like I don't know, he's just like trying more.
It's like the defense takes care of business on OKC, and the refs aren't hurting OKC. And so I don't know, like Shea just has the mind to be open and just like playing the game. The defense taking care of business
really helps with that.
And Jokic, I'm sure, is frustrated with. I mean, he's a large problem with it. Like in the Memphis game last night, he was just not guarding anyone at times in the paint, and then there's 3-point shooters open. And yeah, it was just like a horrible game from Jokic, like with mentally and like where he was on defense and the turnovers. And so, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like, I get it why he's not focused, but it sucks to see.
Yes. While we're on Jokic, let's just jump into the Jokic clips here. Johnny Keene says not just Adelman, Dudley was hyped up a lot too. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know how Dudley was going to be as a defensive coordinator or whatever. One of the, I think, valid criticisms of him and this team, because it's not really been in their, like, the character of, like, just this core of players ever to be a team that forces turnovers. But they are now dead last in forcing turnovers, whereas, like, say, the title year, they were, like, 23rd. And even at different points in the season, they're, like, 26, which is not good enough either. But he, like, dead last, and that's very similar to, if I look at it, I think it's pretty similar to where they stood last year, to be honest. Yeah, they were 25th, right? And you would have hoped that that would improve, because when you look at the other factors of defense, those are not improving. Those are worse. So it's like, what does this team do well? And we've had other shows where we just talk about the defense, and the kind of total summary is they don't do anything well defensively, like anything. And then there are certain things that they are just abhorrent at. And that's just a recipe for disaster on that end of the floor, right?
Yeah.
Some things have gotten better since the break, but it's been very hit or miss. The one thing that they do well, actually, and let me see if this is still true. It was definitely true in the first half of the season, is that they weren't allowing opponent free throws. So they're like middle of the pack, top half of the league, but it's like 12th at that. And that's kind of it. Gaiman says, yeah, Dudley just yells and it doesn't work. I don't know what Dudley does. We don't know what Dudley does. We don't know what the defensive coordinators do.
Yeah, but I just want to say, though, on Jared Dudley, I was excited about him before the season. I liked him on the Lakers when I watched him. I talked about that in previous shows. But one of the biggest reasons that I was excited for Jared Dudley was because I know that he does hold players accountable. Like when he played with LeBron and AD, he was calling them out. And he was like when they won the championship in the bubble. So it's like he'll be a guy that can like hold people accountable. And maybe Adelman can be the good cop, Dudley can be the bad cop. And if we do have an accountability problem, at least there's someone. But I don't know. Something's not working. So
yeah, I mean, I'm curious to know. One of my like kind of running issues throughout the season is we have certain coverages that we use not to get stops, but to give rest to Jokic and Jamal, but especially Jokic. Especially when we go to our really lazy 2-3 zone. And whenever Jokic plays drop, it's like you're having no impact here because like they're playing it to get rest and the players are treating it that way as well. And I do wonder if at some point, and I feel like we have seen, I'd love to see the numbers on this, but to my eye, we have seen a substantial drop off in the volume of zone, especially that this team plays since the All-Star break. And it feels like they're playing a lot more man. And it's just like you gotta man coverage. They've like thrown in some different, variants of that, but blitzes and things like that. Jokic playing more up at the level, and just there's a lot more accountability associated with those coverages because immediately like who did what wrong, and you can tell that in a zone too. But the point of the coverage is not to give you rest, and like the players know that. So that's another question with it too. We just don't know. Like we don't know what the defensive coordinator does. It's not like football where we get like one game a week and then like 5 days of media with the head coach, the defensive coordinator, the offensive coordinator, or whatever throughout the week so that we can ask them like, what's going on here? Like, what do you see that's wrong? What is the team working on, et cetera, et cetera.
Let's get to these turnovers.
Let's get to the turnovers. So I think Denver just like, if you watch this game with no knowledge of like who the players are, how good they're supposed to be, how good the teams are supposed to be, their records coming into the game, you would think honestly that the Memphis Grizzlies outclassed the Denver Nuggets and they were like, oh, this is just like a better team. Not by a lot, because Denver was able to like keep it close until the end, where it's like they kind of did to us what we used to do to teams in like 23-24, just like clutched up and expanded that lead at the end. Jokic himself almost had a quadruple double with 10 turnovers. He was 1 assist away, which would
have been historic.
It would have been historic. I was kind of like, damn, if they're going to lose this game anyway, could we at least get that assist so we could have that on the books? But no. So is that considered a Sombor triple? Then
I guess so. The Sombor triple.
All right, let's get to the first one, labeled undershot pass. This was like I don't know if this was a lazy pass or it was just it was intercepted, but that ball was not going to get to Cam. If it wasn't intercepted by whoever 77 was on the Grizzlies, I think Jerome would have caught it because it was so short.
It was almost like he saw something at the last second and kind of hesitated and couldn't like he didn't want to throw it, but it was too late at that point. I don't know if it was because he saw Ty Jerome running over or what the deal was, but yeah, he second guessed it.
That also was pretty bad. Next one is Julian in the wrong place. So Julian standing in the corner, Jokic kind of ISOs from the 3. Also, could you pause here? I was very annoyed when Christian catches the ball with like 1.5 guys on him directly under the basket and doesn't even like try to create an angle to get the basket. He's just immediately like, let me get this out. And he doesn't find the open guy. He's just like, let me get this to Jokic. get this Jokic, get this Jokic. And to be fair, I don't remember if it had happened twice at this point in the game yet, but he did get blocked at the rim twice whenever he did try to go up with layup, which was unfortunate because he had other good moments in this game. But Christian is so like reset. Anyway, so he gets the ball back out to Jokic, and Julian, instead of staying where he is supposed to be in the corner, because you've got already Cam in the dunker spot, Jerome is ignoring him, but like Jokic is looking right at him, and maybe he thought that was a signal to cut. Go ahead and yeah. So that one was on Julian. Although I didn't love where the pass was targeted in the first place anyway. Like it was going to be pretty high and Julian would have had to jump up, so he might not have caught it anyway. Let's go to the no communication turnover.
We have a chat question. Are we going through every Jokic turnover?
No,
just a couple.
Just the live ball turnovers, which was almost all of them.
There was.
I think I left off one of those because it was redundant. These are just examples of like the different kinds here. So I think Cam was supposed to go harder down that way, but like Cam's standing where he's standing, and I guess Jokic. I feel like Jokic throws his ball out of frustration because he wants Cam to be further along the wing, closer to where Christian is. Go ahead, play it, and then
pass was. Let's see if he had to pass it there, like if the defenders were deterring it.
Nope,
it was a weird one.
He didn't.
Maybe he got bumped a little bit. I don't know, but it was just off.
I thought
I feel like his head's on in the game.
When in live, I thought that the ball had gotten deflected from the back, but it didn't look like it when I went back to pull the clips. Let's go to Bobble in the crowded lane. So he had a lot of these drives in the game yesterday, and some of them didn't result in turnovers, but a lot of them were like deflected, kind of results in a bobble. So Jokic has the ball here. ISO small tries to drive, and Pat Spencer gets a hand on the ball from behind. And Jokic is mad at the refs here, and I'm like, why? He clearly got the ball. If anything, he got ball in hand, and that bothered Jokic. But he like jumped up to try and get a call.
He might have got him on the wrist. I just can't see the angle, but who knows?
It looked like he got the ball first, though.
Could be.
Anyway, we don't have that angle, but it's like. And this has been happening a lot, by the way. This has been something that teams have been doing where whoever's on Christian is either ignoring them completely or has license to kind of play like, I mean, safety is not really the right word because they're not trying to inhibit any passes. They're just like kind of run up and like late blitz Jokic here and try to bother the ball.
And Christian's just standing flat-footed waiting for something to happen, which makes his defender just that much easier to come down and help. You know, he's not engaging that defender.
I think what Christian should have done here is tried to relocate to more of the top of the key or even the right wing here, closer to Tim. That wouldn't have changed his defender's behavior, though, like I said. And I don't think that it also wouldn't have given Jokic a better passing angle. You would have wanted him to throw the ball and immediately move to try to take his defender with him.
And all the Grizzlies are almost in the paint here, which is the formula.
And like this is a big part of the reason that Jokic has been struggling with small lineups is just this. And the fact that when we play small lineups, the only thing that we're doing is entering the ball into Jokic, and it's like the easiest thing to read because it's all we're doing.
And teams know, like, you know, they're trying to double right when he dribbles or like something along those lines. And their timing is getting better over time. Yeah,
for sure. And I just feel like there are other ways to attack small lineups than just throwing entry passes.
I mean, part of it, like, it's hard because sometimes I think Jokic should be more physical on the fronts and just like manhandle people more and spend the energy, you know, but in that case, it's like he's driving in. There's 5 guys there.
I
that's not
also
necessarily
think
the
that
moment.
the guys who have the ball have to be willing to do something with the ball. Like we talked about this so much, Will, and we're gonna get to it when we get to Jamal and his issues with the Lakers game after this. But he's the only one that is willing to do something with the ball when Jokic is getting fronted or he's being ignored. He's the only one. And that's a real problem for this team. And I don't even think it's necessarily a skill issue. I don't think that you need to be able to like hezzy tween, like have all the skill that Jamal has, although it helps. But with the level of being ignored that like Christian, for example, is, you've got to have something in your repertoire that can allow you to take a dribble or two toward the rim and have a strong finish at the basket because you are being completely ignored. All you have to do is like snake around there, or even you don't even have to necessarily move. You just have to be able to create a wide open standstill jump shot. And he's either not or not willing to, which it like I think it's a combination of the two. And I don't think it just stems from him. I think it stems from like the level of freedom that he's given within this system. Not necessarily explicitly, but implicitly, because it's like every play is get the ball to Jokic and then we run our action or Jokic post. Especially, it's a lot of the latter when it's these non-Jamal lineups with Jokic on the floor. Snoozer says every action being step one, get the ball to Jokic, is very tough when the defense sells out tonight. Yes, which is why you should have immediate counters, especially after you've been seeing this for a year, over a year now.
I just wonder if most people would agree with the sentiment. Not that I'm saying this, but the sentiment of that the Nuggets offense. I mean, it is what the best. I don't know if it's the best offense now net rating wise, but it like seemed like it was going that way, and we're the number one offense. I don't know if we still are, but the numbers are really good. But it kind of looks like a predictable offense at times. And I know it's kind of absurd to say, but I mean,
it looks like a predictable offense most of the time, except for when Jamal has the ball in his hands. Frankly, like Jokic on the floor, especially with Jokic on the floor, but even sometimes off. Because Jamal is an unpredictable player. It has nothing to do with like what the offense is running, and that's the problem, right? Or the other players on the floor. Like the fact that the most surprising thing that we're going to talk about in terms of like what happened with the offense today is like Cam was willing to take pull up threes off a DHO is like, okay, that's like every other team in the NBA's baseline, and we're like cheering it on because it's like this just doesn't happen either because of that player or because of just the way that our offense runs.
And we've had issues that we've been wanting to solve that we've talked about, and it just feels like we're not we're repeatedly banging our head on the wall. And it's, if Adelman is this genius offensive coach, why aren't we getting more creative? I don't know, to just make it a little bit easier to get guys. I don't know. We'll see.
All right, let's go to the head down. So
we're almost through
Jokic
these guys.
Dribble here. I forget who is this that's guarding Jokic. I don't know this player.
It doesn't. It's okay.
Yeah. So
Grizzlies player 1.
Grizzlies player 1. NPC 1 is guarding Jokic, and then 2 guys come to try and steal the ball, forces him to bobble it. No communication, it seems like, or at least like not enough for this Grizzlies arena. I mean, people are talking about relocating the team. I don't know how loud it could have possibly been in this arena that Jokic couldn't hear a signal from either Cam or Christian. I just don't think it came when their defender ignores them to go steal the ball from Jokic. This was a clear transition. This was a clear point of emphasis for the Grizzlies in this game. By the way,
I had a question. If you thought, because this clip started and I didn't see how it's began. There's 9 seconds on the shot clock, but Christian, there was 2 guys in the dunker spot. I don't know what's going on there.
Neither.
And Christian's coming up to space, which is like, okay, you spaced, but like it wouldn't have mattered it wouldn't have mattered if he was on the wing anyways, because his defender was going to come down.
Yeah.
And I mean, we got 2. We got from the blind side on Cam and from Christian. So.
I don't think they knew what was happening here either. Well, that's the problem. So poor spacing / just execution of whatever play that was supposed to be, for sure. They were slow getting the ball up the floor on that possession, if I recall correctly. And then they, I think, like a Grizzly was maybe fronting Jokic for a bit. Then they were able to make the entry pass, and that's how you get deep into the shot clock. Snoozer said Cam's fault here, IMO. I mean, Cam's standing where he's supposed to be standing. The only thing I would blame him for potentially is like if he's not signaling Jokic that my guy is not like, yeah. Call the wolf. None of Jokic's options are great, even with them being wide open. Yes, and like part of the problem is like it's like you said, the timing of these is getting a lot better to where teams are like, okay, his back is to me, so I am running to steal the ball. RX Smart points out that there's no Aaron Gordon. Like, yes, correct. And this is the Memphis Grizzlies, and they were on an 8-game losing streak.
Yeah, my theory of just being like, if you just mentally shift every game that we don't have AG to just like, it's going to be a loss, you'll be okay. Because either we will lose or we'll win, and you'll be like, oh shit, we won without AG. That's great.
Ray is the most okay person on the planet.
Yeah, Ray is the optimist. And I mean, there's definitely something to what he's saying. And even earlier, he brought up Ty Jerome. The Grizzlies have not had Ty Jerome a lot throughout this year. So when you're talking about them tanking, he is like a really good piece and shooter that they have, and he destroyed us, as you saw. So yeah, man, it's unfortunate we weren't even able to win the game even when they took him off the floor. Nobody can dribble the ball other than Murray. Mad Dog, I've seen these guys. Like, you don't need complex dribble skill to take advantage of the kind of space that the defenses are ceding to these players. We just haven't seen like most of them take advantage of it. Zoran Stepich says, no, Mr. Nugget, no W is my mindset from now on. Okay, then. Well, they've got one more back-to-back this season, I believe. Yeah, we're all celebrating AG not playing. So
yeah, I'm still like, AG should not have played in that game, and I'm fine with that. All right, let's go to the eyes followed. So this one, it seemed like Jokic is kind of telegraphing his move, and I think that's Cedric Coward comes in and is just able to read it. I think he probably that was actually a good play by Cedric, because he's able to fake, like he's really playing the gaps here. But he kind of stunts toward Tim to force Jokic to pass to the corner instead, and then is still able to recover the corner. So this was like just an impressive defensive play, in my opinion.
Read. But I don't see a lot of players read Jokic's passes like that.
What I would have liked to see from Jokic there is him forcing the defense to make a decision more, and forcing more of a commitment from them, so that wasn't a murky passing lane, but it was still a good defensive play. No back-to-back in the playoffs is a good. What does that say?
Good news.
Good news.
It's funny. Last season we were games, like,
you still have games like we did, like in Game 4 against the Thunder, where you could have a 36-hour rest game because you get like a freaking Sunday matinee or whatever. What were you gonna say, Will?
Last season we were hoping the playoffs could all be back-to-backs because we were the second night of back-to-back Kings, and now this season we're like, please God, no more.
Oh, we don't want home games. We don't want back-to-backs. We don't want road games against good teams. We don't want road games against tanking teams, apparently. And you won't have any of those in the playoffs, at least. Vyacheslav asks if he can join the show. You're joining from the chat, Vyacheslav. All right, let's go to the overturned horrible pass. And I agreed with this overturn, by the way. In real time, I was thinking, did Jokic really just throw his 10th turnover of the game? And I thought it was just a correct challenge by Memphis. I don't actually know how they saw it, because their angle, I think the call was on 22, and like from the back, but he doesn't get Jokic's arm or anything. This is just a lazy pass. This is just bad. It's thrown short and also got deflected. Like he bobbles it before the ball leaves his hands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, do you think
Gabriel
it was a
Greer, I'm
case
sick of
of
Jokic waiting for the double team instead of quickly making the move. I completely agree. Like he is not forcing the issue either to score. Like a lot of people talk about forcing the issue as like a method of scoring, but it can actually make your passes easier too, because you're forcing the collapse from the area that you want the defense to collapse from. And then you get to choose where the pass goes. But instead, like, again, like I agree, like waiting for the defense to make their move. And like we've talked about this with Jokic in the past. Like he has games like this, and they're really frustrating because we know he's better than that, right?
JMK says Grizzlies were younger, hungrier, fresher legs. Any pro basketball team can prevail. This is also true.
Okay,
And
this is
you can
great.
get
This
caught.
is the stuff that you can say in November, December, January. This is not the stuff you say when you're teetering on the brink of the. Let's refresh the standings now. When you're teetering on the brink of the play-in in game 70, you know, like you they need to win games, like period. That's the situation that they're in right now. They're sitting in 6th, like sole possession of 6th place, a game behind the Rockets, who they do have tiebreaker over, but you're relying on a team with an easier schedule to lose games. A game behind the Wolves, who they also have tiebreaker over. I don't know what Minnesota's schedule looks like. 2 games behind the Lakers. It looks like they're I don't know if they're going to coast to the 3 seed. I don't know what their rest of their season schedule looks like, but I mean, this these are the margins that we're talking about here. So yeah, like you can have that excuse in January, but because of all the other losses that have accumulated, like there's a lot more pressure on the team to win games now. They're only 2 losses up on Phoenix, who they do have tiebreaker over, so it's really like being 3 games up on them. But that's not guaranteed, especially if you have more weeks where you go 1 and 2 in like a 3-game stretch. Angry Old Hoops fan says, could you bring that back up? Jokic has 83 turnovers in 17 games. To put this in perspective, Shea has 20 in 17 games. Yeah, Shea's a very low turnover player. We've talked about that. LeBron has 22. Jamal has 23. I mean, LeBron's not the primary ball handler. Jamal has way fewer turnovers. This is something we talked about, I think, in the first couple of games when Jokic came back from injury, because it was clear he was turning the ball over more even like early on post-injury. And Denver had been an incredibly low turnover team through the month of January when Jokic was out. And that was a testament to Jamal and the rest of the team. But yeah, ever since Jokic got back, like the turnover rates are like creeping back up. Like we were, I think, top 2 overall on the season in turnover rate. And I think we're only like sitting at probably around top 4 or 5 now, which means that they've been pretty bad recently. Okay, they're 3rd right now. So that's pretty good. That's more a testament to how good they'd been early in the season than anything recent. Ironically, I think the last Thunder game is their lowest turnover game of the season, where they had like 3 or 4 as a team. I think Jokic only had 3 turnovers in that game.
Art Smart, I said Adelman isn't worried. He says we're playing well. He's confident.
Okay, we talked about that at the beginning of the show, which is like, it's not what I want to hear right now because they're not winning games. Okay.
It's
I don't think that they're playing that well. I don't think that they're playing. It's not just about the wins. I don't think that they're playing well enough to feel happy with how well they're playing despite the losses. Does that make sense? Where it's like, if you're playing, exclusively like San Antonio and OKC in these like really harsh, like literally back and forth nail biter kind of games, and then just barely losing at the end in ways that are not replicable across the season. Like we've talked about their issues of the clutch and like the defense, and like, well, this issue just cropped up again, right? Then I would feel better about it. But that's not that they're not playing so well that I'm like, oh, but like look at this, that, and the other. It's like, no, like there are some really big issues here that are continuing concerns still. Akila says, my experience as a Chelsea fan means I could care less what my coach says when I have eyes being tortured by what's on the court. Is that Aki?
Yeah.
Okay, hey Aki. I appreciate that. I appreciate that perspective.
Yeah, I mean it's just to your point. Like, I mean, they don't, like, Jokic doesn't look like he feels that they're playing well because he looks pissed like all the time. And if he was playing more free and we were playing well, he'd look more in a groove, I guess. But
he said that the thing that he liked. He said the thing that he liked the most about last game against, who did they play before? Memphis? The Sixers. So like, I liked how professional we were. They were just like beating the brakes off this team that had completely given up when they like walked into the building, it seemed like. Last night's game was the opposite of professional. Particularly from Jokic and Jamal. I think Christian and Cam played well. I think Tim did his best, but he like wasn't making enough shots for the shot volume that he was getting. Yeah. I think like obviously if a couple more shots from Tim go in, then it's like great. But like right there. Your team can't hinge on the performance of Tim Hardaway Jr. So I'm not going to blame him for that. And he did.
It has been a lot of times this season.
Yeah.
Which is great. That's like unfortunately looking to be like the one signing of the summer that's been working for us.
Val was pretty good last night too.
Yeah, he was okay. He started out good. He had that air ball floater that he missed or whatever, but whatever. It's gonna happen,
among us will.
But yeah, like the Nuggets, they look like they're just trying to get out of this regular season. Like they look like they're over it, which I understand. We've had a rough one, the most travel, the time differences, the late start and the early start. We get all that, but the seeding does require that we take care of business right now, and they just got to like get together and finish this strong. And like, I don't want another 7-game series in the first round because our seeding was too low, and then everyone's tired and everyone's already dealing with lingering injuries. We need to get an easy first round series if we have hopes of going further in the playoffs. So, which we'll talk about later because we're going to talk about what might cause us to get out of the playoffs early.
Yeah. Okay, one more negative before we get to the positives of the last few games. Obviously, the Lakers loss, as you alluded to, was pretty bad. Jamal has not really been playing well lately. He had 6 points in that game. I put that game squarely on him because he played so poorly on both ends of the floor. It was literally one of the worst Jamal Murray, if not the worst. Like I say one of the worst because I'm trying to allow for like one or two maybe that were worse over the course of the last 3 years that I've been following this team. And you've been watching them even longer, but it was literally like, to my memory, the worst Jamal Murray game that I'd ever watched. And it wasn't just him missing shots. He got really skittish at the end, and we'll have some clips where we talk about that when we get to clips of other players not wanting to shoot, like getting rid of the ball. He turned the ball over in key moments. Terrible on defense. Not his worst defensive game of the season, but one of the worst defensive games of the season from him, paired with everything else going on offensively. What is up with Jamal's shoulder, and why isn't it on the injury report is my question to you, Will. Because he's been wearing that shoulder tape. He came, I think, was it the Sixers game where he came? Maybe it was the Lakers game where he came back after like halftime and he was wearing like one of those like compression shirts that he wasn't wearing at the beginning of the game. I'm like, what is going on here? It's not on the injury report. I'm annoyed.
Yeah, in retrospect, hindsight's 2020, so I get this point doesn't really matter too much, but after watching the Sixers game and then the Memphis game, I wish we just rested Jamal and Jokic for the Sixers game and just let the other dudes beat the Sixers. Like we were beating all the Eastern teams without Jokic anyway. Clearly, there's an injury you could put on the injury report and have them rest. It's not like we're going to be like cheating and going to be fined for like resting these guys. They all have lingering injuries. But yeah, why isn't the shoulder on there? I have no idea. It's clearly bothering him. It's taped. He's changing. He's wearing an undershirt. Sometimes he's not. People are bumping into it. He looks like he's in pain. So yeah, no. I mean, and we know when Murray has an injury, granted, this is like a shoulder injury. It's usually like an ankle or a calf or something. He doesn't play the same because he doesn't have the lift through his base. I theoretically would prefer him not to have an injury to his foundation because his jump shot is so important. But, shoulder's not great too. Mike had his shoulder last season, was useless in the series. So just more bad injury luck. At least he can still play, I guess, but he probably needs rest. We just don't have room. We can't rest anyone right now besides AG, because I feel like we have no choice.
I'm so annoyed. I wanted Jamal to rest earlier. I'm like, okay, Jokic is back. Let's try to throw a game or two here and there. And I'm not saying that that's how he got injured. We don't even know because not on the injury report. JJ Redick news. And now you can't rest anyone and will go into the playoffs with injuries because Denver fooled around with these easy game wins. I mean, yeah. I mean, they were not going to be able to rest down the stretch of the season regardless of winning or losing this game because they were not going to have a cushion down the stretch of the season just because of where the 3 through 6 through 7 sit in the West right now. Yeah, so lots of negatives. I wanted to point out this stat that I noticed, by the way. This is just related to Jokic and the turnovers. Like I said, with the defense, it was really hard, even though it's Memphis scored over 120, so the defense was the problem. Memphis got 27 points off turnovers in this game. And Denver is now 13-14 in games where the opponent has 20 or more points off turnovers. Honestly, impressive that they're near 500 when they allow the opponent to get 20 plus points off turnovers alone. By the way, the most recent examples of this were the Lakers and the Knicks game, and then the previous Lakers game, which they won. Jokic himself had 9 in that game too. That was pretty bad. So it was impressive they were able to come away with the win in that instance because I just did not think that that Jokic played well in that game. But let's get to the positives that we got over the last couple games. Christian and Cam. The podcast bros are starting to look much better. Christian goes on the Old Man and 3 podcast, talks everything out, talks NCAA basketball with Cam and their buddies, and it seems like it totally fixed their mojo because Christian, he's had 15 plus games in 6 of the last 11, which isn't that impressive, 15 plus, but that's over his, season average last year, which was a great season. Double digits in 9 of those last 11 games. So at least 11 points actually in 9 of his last 11 games. But his defense has not been good. So I do want to point that out. He is not what I would consider back. Although Christian has not always been a high impact defender in terms of being a stopper on the other team's best player. Certain matchups he can do better than others. Other times it's he was good on him this game and terrible in the next matchup, as we saw with SGA. It stark contrast between how Christian did in the 2 games ago against OKC versus the last matchup. And I thought that honestly he got pretty wrecked defensively in the last Lakers game. He was just getting blown by nonstop by everybody. It wasn't just the quick guards. It was the wings. It was everything. Got out hustled by LeBron James, who threw himself horizontal onto the floor for a loose ball, which shocking everybody. So I don't totally blame Christian for that play, but he also wouldn't have been in position to get that ball, even if LeBron hadn't full planked in the air to grab it. I do think that his defensive performances recently have flown under the radar, especially in that Lakers game, because of some of the other poor offensive performances. So I want to keep track of that. The offense has been looking better. He's being more willing to take shots. He's making more threes. That's a big one. Looking more athletic in transition. It's not perfect. It's not where it was last year even, but it is better. But there's still a long way to go before I feel comfortable about, frankly, Christian being an every, playing 30 plus minutes every series guy. The reason he's kind of penned in there right now is because it's who's better than him defensively behind him right now? Not really anybody. Peyton has like team defense issues. Bruce similarly. And he also has the offensive issues as well. Our experience says, I think Cam looks very good. He might be your best defender. He was the best defender versus Lakers. I completely agree. I've had no issues with Cam's defense basically since that OKC game, which was terrible and really not indicative of Cam's defensive season. I think a lot of people have over-indexed on like 4 or 5 games this season where Cam has looked like kind of shockingly outmatched defensively to where you're like, oh, this guy's like a full-on liability. Pretty much every game of the season, though, he's been a positive to very positive defender at the point of attack, playing free safety, just kind of knows where to be. It's kind of funny because it seems like he knows where to be more often on defense than offense on this team, which is not necessarily like what his reputation was coming up, like joining this roster.
And it's something you think would be more impactful to like have a starter who knows where to be defensively, but I mean, it's not hurt us, right? Like,
I mean, that's probably why he's like a plus minus merchant, but people only look at the shooting stats, which still matter because like we need production from these spots as well. Yeah. But the thing I want to focus on with Cam really is the threes, because that's been the more inconsistent thing this season, both his shot making, but also his willingness to take those shots. Like I said, very, very bad in the OKC game in every facet of the game. I talked about the defense, but also offensively. I just thought he did not meet the moment in terms of his physicality or his willingness to make a play when things like slightly broke down. He looked a lot like Christian, frankly. Like the thing with these two guys is that they have had a lot of like similar issues this season, even though they're completely different players. But their like hesitation and the lack of confidence with the ball in their hands has definitely been one. But I think lately, basically since that last Thunder game, Cam has been like really good, actually. So since the OKC game, he's 16 of 26 from 3. I didn't actually see what percentage that. It's like 62% from 3. Which is funny. He went 5. Well, it helps that he went 5 of 6 versus Memphis, 4 of 10 versus the Lakers. And what I wanted to look at here was not necessarily just the makes, but the attempts, because it's just a variety of ways that he's getting the shots off, largely without hesitation. And I wanted to just look at the variety of ways that he seems a lot more comfortable getting those shots off. So let's go to the relocation, no hesitation 3 first. I think this one is in the Memphis game. Yeah. So you got Christian driving. That's good. Look at Christian driving, and he's able to make a play for another player. Cam misses this shot, but he takes it like really without hesitation, steps right in, and that was like kind of bounces in and out kind of thing. This is was Jamal on the floor there?
Let's take a look.
We've got Cam, Spencer, Christian.
He's in the corner.
He is in the corner. Okay, so he is on the floor. But look at what Christian is able to do in transition when he's willing to. This was another one where he was like, I'm not going to be able to get the lift without getting blocked at the rim here. But he was able to get far enough downhill to collapse the defense and then created a simple pass, a simple kick out pass for him. And those are the kinds of plays I'm talking about when I mean like other guys being willing to do things with the ball in their hands. With Jokic on the floor, that we haven't seen enough of, in my opinion, that are like well within their skill set, right? You're not asking him to like ISO somebody from a standstill. It's just like you semi-transition, go. Obviously would help if we had more like skilled, like moderately skilled pick and roll guys for half court settings, but that's a question for another day. All right, let's go to the swing pass, no hesitation. I think this might have been from the Lakers game. Yes, okay. So you got Jamal, pick and roll with Jokic, gets downhill, gets to Jokic, and I think, Jamal wouldn't have been able to make that pass just because of the angle. I don't think he could see where Cam was. I would have liked Jamal to get more downhill so that he's the one making the pass to Cam, but he gets the ball to Jokic. Luka's kind of playing the gap here and, jumps out to Jokic to try and deter the drive. And Cam is left open. Bam. Let's go to swing pass 2. Vyacheslav says it was a mental blockade for Cam. Now he's playing freely. I completely agree, and I don't know why that's happened, but I'm glad it has. So yeah, simple play, swing pass. Cam is left wide open in the corner. He makes that three, just knocks it down. Wonderful.
It's been interesting. Cam has been probably one of the best bright spots on the team. Maybe it's because we've been waiting to have a stretch like this, and I've been rooting for Cam. I want him to put it together. I want him to feel mentally free, like Vyacheslav saying. But it's been funny. I feel like even earlier in the season, he had a game right before he got hurt where he hit 6 of 6 threes, I think against the Jazz. Oh, yeah. And he, everyone else kind of played bad in that game, or maybe we crushed it. Whatever. There's been times for Kim.
That was like a bad Jokic game, but Jamal was the one that really like carried them through.
I just feel like Cam is, when our other dudes are playing bad, Cam has really great games.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
Yeah. Because I thought Cam was really great last night. I went back and watched this morning. I was like, whoa, Cam's awesome. He had a
he was making
bad
defensive
turnover,
plays too.
Whatever.
He did have that one bad turnover when Denver was on the left side.
Yeah. That was a bad one. But otherwise, he was playing really well. And I was like, hell yeah, Cam looks amazing.
Kept getting blocked at the rim, though. Like, he and Christian are just, like I said, similar issues.
But he had a really nice little, like, dump-off pass in transition to CB. That was a pretty tight window, and I was happy to see that because sometimes they're really bad about passing. I think that
Cam, when he's confident in transition, he's made some of the best transition passes this season. Non-outlet. Yeaman says Cam is a vampire. maybe Cam can only play well when everyone else plays poorly. And then he's brought Christian into his coven, and so that's why Christian is now benefiting. All right, we can skip the last swing pass. Let's go to the relocation catch and shoot.
Off of post entry from AG and just gets to the corner.
Yep. Runs off a pin down. That's that's defended pretty well, and then he just finds the open space.
This reminds me of what MPJ kind of used to do, right? But
yeah. And it looks like the play was originally for the point was to post AG. It was not to get Cam the ball, but it was a nice distraction. Just take LeBron with you, add some movement to the set, kind of make the defense think a little bit, and then AG gets the ball. And the defense collapses. Like, you get 4 Lakers in the paint when AG posts.
And Austin Reeves had his arm completely hooked. So there was nothing really AG could do there anyway. But it is a mismatch. So you get in the ball, score on Reeves, but
I don't know why the Lakers didn't just let AG try to ISO here. You guys are up double digits at this point. Let AG try to take an ISO too.
Maybe. I just don't think AG would have done it because he was all tied up with
I agree but they gave him an out by having everybody collapse,
right? Because then it was easy to swing the ball. They should have just stayed. True. That's what's working for these other teams. Just stay in the paint, or whatever,
just have a couple guys in the paint. You don't need the whole team there. All right, let's go to the pull up. No hesitation. So this one was, from the Memphis game, transition. He's dribbling down the floor, pulls out to reset, and they nobody picks him up. And he's just all right, I'm going to take this three. This is with Jokic off the floor. So a little less pressure to run the set, to enter the ball to Jokic and run the set. This is really bad transition defense in the Grizzlies. Spencer was left completely alone. You got 3 Grizzlies guarding nobody on this one.
Memphis has to make some mistakes. They are still
that's true.
Not a
they
great
are still
team.
Supposed to be worse. Yeah.
So we need something.
Okay, let's go to the pull up off the screen.
Hey, Mile High, I agree. Jokic still the best player in the world. No worries there. He just had a bad game. It's okay. Let's see. Pull up off screen.
And he had a style that no one's ever had before. He almost
made the Ty Jerome shot that he killed us with multiple times.
All right, so Bruce sets a screen. Cam pulls up. I think probably from like a little bit too far, but I like that he took this shot. This one didn't have quite as much confidence as like the catch and shoots did. There was not as much pop off this jump, and you could tell as soon as the ball left his hand, he was kind of like, I don't think that's going to. But I like that he took this shot, and it's the precursor for if you go to the next one, which is the DHO. This one was with Jokic, I think. No hesitation. Yeah. So this is just like a this is just like a get, like he just like runs into it and Jokic just tosses him the ball. Bam. 3. Take it. Swish.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, like that one as opposed to the previous one was way more in rhythm, and I don't think he was expecting that he was going to shoot after Marcus Smart kind of left him. And this one's just a clear example of that in rhythm shooting that you want, that Cam's been demonstrating.
I'm actually looking at his shot splits right now. I remember early in the season, he was like not making any catch and shoots, but his pull-up numbers were really good. But it was a really small sample size. So, I mean, he's shooting 42% on his catch and shoot threes right now. Do you want to know what he's shooting in pull-ups? Do you want to guess?
42% catch and shoot, you said?
Yeah.
37, I don't know.
48%.
Whoa, even better.
Yeah,
Dang.
but he's taking less than 1 a game. I think that could go to 1 a game. It's like 0.7 a game right now. I would like to see him take 1 a game. Which is the catch and shoot and pull-ups aren't going to account for every 3, I think. I don't know. Would that last shot have counted as a catch and shoot then? The one off the DHO.
The last one?
Yeah.
Technically,
in the tracking data, I mean. Probably.
I don't know. I have no idea how they're gonna.
I don't know how many.
I would imagine
you have to
so.
Dribble.
He didn't even dribble once, so yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it has to be.
All right, let's go to the flare. I forget who sets the flare screen here. It might have been Bruce.
I think it was Christian. Christian
for
Christian?
Sure. Okay. So they're running 2-man game. Christian sets a nice flare screen for. I mean, it really plays like an exit screen. If it were on the baseline, it's just like it's the same as an exit screen for Cam in the corner. But see, I didn't like look at this pass from Jamal. This looks like one of Jokic's passes from that same night. Like so lazy. These guys, man.
Yeah, he was kind of off balance and was slipping. He was trying to push into him, and
yeah, at least he has that excuse.
Hey,
anyway,
I
caught the ball,
all the
drained
excuses
the 3.
we need.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to the empty corner post double. I liked this one because it's basically the same play as AG, except the Grizzlies didn't collapse quite as much, but it was just enough that Christian was like, well, you close out to me, I'm gonna swing to Cam. I'm like, why are you closing out to Christian? It's because you didn't read the scouting report, because you're the Grizzlies, but we lost this game anyway. Whatever. But
that was a big one.
This is Yoke sitting empty corner in the post, and this is what they try to do all the time now. So they're like, oh, they're going to double us. They're going to double him when we try to post him on an empty side, and then they just kind of swing the ball around, find the open guy. So Cam has to be willing to take this shot. But this is also what an earlier comment was referring to, or I think one example of what they were referring to with Jokic waiting for the double to come. And like, if you know that this is coming on this possession, can we just run something else offensively just for fun? Let's just do something else. Let's just try something else. And maybe they're like, well, this is our best offense. Like, it's going to end up with Cam in the corner. And I'm like, well, a good defense is just going to close out to Cam in the corner and let Christian try to take a wing 3. And is that what you want to do? Have Christian Brown take out of rhythm above the break 3s. Out of rhythm, yeah. Or Christian's the one in the corner, sure. Like whoever's supposed to close out there will just close out to Cam instead of him and just ignore him, right? So I don't love this empty corner post offense. Okay, let's go to the scramble relocation three here from Cam. So I think this was on a broken play. Yeah, so Tim misses this three here.
Why did he hesitate there?
I don't know. Maybe because he'd been missing, but I mean, that's unlike Tim. I think it's because they were closing out, and he kind of had to do like a half no dip, and also like the catch angle.
Yeah.
It was
Ball was
you had to
high,
reset a little bit. Yeah, you would have wanted Jokic to force the collapse a little bit more so that the closeout wasn't so easy. Nice offensive rebound from Christian. He gets the ball out to Cam, who relocates, like relocates to the corner and hits that's like a true movement three there.
Heads up play to get
and
back
he's
in the
hit
corner.
A couple of those this season, but they're pretty rare just in the course of our offense.
Might have even helped him to be running into that shot rather than had been just standing there. Not that
turning to the right though, like that's a tough shot.
That's true.
That's like a Jamal shot.
Yeah, the way he took it that quick too. That was when hope started to almost come back in the game, where I thought we could still win this thing. But yeah.
Let's go to the no dip three attempt. So we know that Cam has a no dip three in his bag, but I don't think worked out. But what I liked about this play is that he just does a good job of filling the corners in transition and staying there, which made him, despite is that Marcus Smart? Okay. Yeah, Marcus Smart ignoring him and like running to the paint. Cam resists the urge to jump in there and be like, oh, Jamal will take the shot and then maybe I'll get an offensive rebound. He stays in the corner, gets in position to take that shot, and then takes it. I mean, this is an impressive closeout from Marcus Smart, who's able to force it into kind of being a no dip instead of letting Cam like fully reset his shot for him. But I like that Cam was willing to take this, get in position and take this three.
And we know AG has a no dip three. He did that in.
Oh my god, that was shocking. Was it against the Sixers or no? He did that against the Lakers, right?
Yeah, the Lakers. Man, he almost got us back in that game.
I mean, he did get us back in the game. We were up in that game.
Well, we lost.
We lost.
Got us back for us to win the game, and we didn't. Yeah.
Tim hit that crazy contested three in the corner too to give us the lead in the last minute.
Yeah, we didn't get to talk about the Lakers game on this show in depth, but we did talk about it with Ray and Pete on Four Corners. If you guys want to wait for that, but mixed feelings. I was way more pissed about the Lakers game than this Memphis game, by the way. But
I was annoyed because I predicted a loss, but I didn't expect it to be close, or at least not that close. I mean, then they had a chance. I hate all these games where they have a chance to win and they don't. Right, like
that's the thing.
I hate those more than the blowouts, honestly, because their blowouts have actually been relatively few and far between. And usually when they happen, they're against good teams. The exception being the Charlotte Hornets, who are apparently like the We Believe Warriors of the East right now. Is there any other bad team we've been blown out by, like with Jokic in the lineup? I know they got blown out by the Hawks after that 7-game road trip in January, but other than that. It's been the Thunder or there haven't been that many blowouts this season.
I know. Even last season it felt like a lot of close games. Like we won a bunch of clutch games last season.
They won a bunch of clutch games last season. So they had more blowouts last year, I'm pretty sure. Blowout losses, that is.
It's been 2 years of heart disease for the Nuggets fans.
So
it is tough
Denver
to watch.
Currently has let me look at the total number. They have 27 losses. How many do you think are by 10 points or more?
27 losses by 10 or more. 6.
It's 9.
Okay.
So a third. It's not that many. And true, that Memphis game was almost a 10-point loss, but it wasn't. Though here, I'll just list the teams. Dallas, the December 1st Dallas game. OKC, the Warriors. That was annoying. That was so annoying. That was the one that was clutch and then it turned into not clutch.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the Brooklyn game was another one. That was when everybody came back and Christian looked terrible and yeah. Well, everybody but AG, I think. And Jokic, of course. I think, yeah. So it was just Christian came back. Houston, the Atlanta game I referenced, the Hornets game I referenced, the Miami game where Jokic left, where he got injured, and the Knicks. There haven't been that many otherwise. Again, that we were like, whoa, what the hell just happened there? If I look at last year, and they've played more games than last year. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 14, 15, 16. So almost double. And I don't think we're going to get that high. They'd have to lose every game the rest of the way by 10 plus points, basically, to tie that of last year. Last year was worse. It's been a lot more just close losses. And
that's which kind of hurts more. And yeah, definitely. Because you feel like we have to win this.
Yeah. So let's kind of let's close it out. Oh, let's talk about the last one, the stupid Jamal pass, because I want to talk a little bit about Jamal and the Lakers game here, or just kind of touch on what I alluded to. So you get the ball to Jamal here. We're in the last minute. We're in the last minute of this game. Obviously, I like that Cam took the shot. It's like, that's what happens late in the clock. Gets the ball, you're open, you take the shot. Jamal gets the ball wide open with LeBron pretending to close out and doesn't take the midi here. This is when I knew, and he's wearing the t-shirt here. So it was this game where he put that on at halftime. Jamal did not want the ball down the stretch of this game at all, because he had been missing everything. But I don't think it was just that, because Jamal has had bad shooting games. I have never seen Jamal have such a bad shooting game where he is looks like Christian Brown with the ball in his hands down the stretch of a game. I've not seen that before. I've seen ones where he gets maybe shaken for a possession or two, but final stretch of the game comes along and he's willing to at least take the shots, even if he's still not making them at the end. So this ties into the discussion earlier about Jamal and what's going on with his shoulder. He hasn't looked good since this game. So that is another situation to monitor. Even though they don't want us monitoring it, which is why they don't put it on the scouting or the injury report. And it's just that was an unfortunate kind of reminder of how bad Jamal was in that game as I was going through the tape on Cam. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I almost don't blame him because he couldn't make a single shot and was just so bad. I'd rather him pass to Cam, I guess.
Yeah. On Cam, though, I want to ask, how real do you think his newfound confidence is, especially just shooting, just with the shooting and willingness to take those shots versus we're just playing worse competition and it's lower pressure now in these games since the end of that, long 2 weeks of playing great playoff teams?
I think it's really very real. I think mostly because we've seen him have great numbers in his career, at least his shooting numbers. And we've just been waiting for it to get to that point. And I always knew it would at some point. Yeah, I think it's real. I'm happy to see it. I feel like sometimes I wonder, because we were talking about how when he plays when he plays good, our other teams play bad. And we've been also talking about his mental. And I wonder if it's when the other guys don't have it, he feels more licensed to be aggressive because he's well, everyone else kind of sucks. So what do I have to lose? And then he just makes every shot. And hopefully this newfound confidence that I'm seeing carries over, but so far he's looking very solid. This is exactly what I wanted to see from him in the off season. Now we just need everyone else to put it together with him, and him not disappearing when Jokic and them are at the top of their game, and he needs to not be afraid of getting in the way once that happens.
I definitely agree with that. I'm curious to see what that looks like when Peyton comes back. I'm curious to see what Peyton looks like when Peyton comes back. If whatever. We did get a slight, update on that, which is that he wasn't going to be coming back this week, which has played out. And he has not come back so far in this back-to-back. I know Adelman has been saying that he's he's been wanting Peyton back. I know he's been doing some 3-on-3 stuff with like the coaches and things like that. Snoozer says Cam, could you bring that back
shooting
up?
better splits than MPJ. I feel like I have seen MPJ's stats. I haven't seen his shooting splits, but like he started off the year great,
MPJ
obviously on the
this year. Okay,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
I have
yeah.
no idea what MPJ is doing in Brooklyn right now. I thought you were talking
I feel
about
like
MPJ.
his stats have dipped
season.
a little bit. Like he started out great.
Yeah, it's
but
been
then it
pretty
just
bad
kind of,
since the turn of the calendar.
I haven't
Apparently,
paid too much attention, but
yeah, I don't watch Brooklyn Nets games on purpose. All right. Let's move on, Will, to our next segment here. I prepared a little snake draft to bring us into the kind of last phase of this discussion here, which is a decompression time. We're going to draft and talk about and process what are the things that will keep this team from making a deep playoff run. And the way that I'd like to organize this is what you think will be the most likely reason that they lose like early in the playoffs, I should say. Because obviously the later you get in the playoffs, the more likely it is like you just get beaten by a better team, like obviously, right? But in terms of the position where this team is now and what issues they have, what do you think are going to be the most likely problems, roadblocks to them making a deep run?
So the most likely. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was wondering.
You could also just draft like the things that you would prefer to talk about. My criteria was what I organized. Well, my big board of like negative Nuggets things is based on most on likelihood of being the issue rather than what I think the biggest issues are, if that makes sense. But yeah. I will let you go first on this one. And hopefully you don't steal mine because I only have 5.
So most likely, because I have ones that like would be the, biggest impact if it happened. Sure. But is that the most likely thing to happen? Man,
you don't have to go by my criteria, by the way.
Can I say like, oh man, I guess I'm just gonna say injuries. Like
like broadly.
Do I just say more specifically?
If you want to expound on that, you can. But I think this one doesn't really need much explanation.
I mean, I think if Jamal is like severely hampered and not playing well and producing,
so you'd say really Jamal hard. Injury, especially now that we have
also
this
AG. But like either one of those main guys.
I think you have to pick one.
Then I'm going to say AG if AG is not healthy.
All right. That is like a really unfortunately top of mind thing because he's played has he played 20 games this year?
Well, yeah, I mean, I wanted to say.
Okay, he's played 28 games this season. So
what did Bennett Durando said something I'm sure everyone saw on Twitter about how, obviously the starting lineup hasn't played a ton, but since Aaron Gordon returned from his injury, sample size limited, Murray's ankle injuries versus the Knicks, but in 61 minutes so far, the starting unit is 37.2 net rating. He did post that after the Sixers game, so I don't know if it was kind of boosted by that, obviously, but still.
I mean, it's going to be boosted by that. Yeah. I can quickly look up what it looks like in non-garbage time on cleaning the glass. We just go to... Goodness. The starting lineup hasn't played that much, but we got Jamal, Cam, Christian, AG, and Jokic. They're at plus 19.6 net out non-garbage time. They're still the most played lineup of the team, which tells you how bad the other injuries have been, honestly. Because there's just been no consistency. This is probably the fewest minutes. Yeah, I mean, clearly the fewest minutes played. By this point in the season last year, they had like at least 1,500 minutes with the starting lineup. Even with AG's injuries, I think. Let me go back to last year and just see. Because they've only got 450 minutes with that lineup right now. Okay, with AG's injuries, not quite 15. They had like 900 minutes total, and there's only 10 games left in the season, so it's not going to get much higher. They'll probably get up to like 600, but it's less than last year. And then obviously in 23-24, that group was, they played the most, almost 2,000 minutes together. The starting lineup did in 23-24, and 22-23, it was 1,500 minutes. So significantly less. And that's a reflection of injuries. It's also a reflection of Adelman's more willingness to play with those lineups, both like not starting, but closing more. Like when everybody's healthy, it's more like he's not really messing around with the starting lineup, but the closing lineup definitely. Also a reflection of like maybe the starting lineup not being as good closing. So not really justifying having that. JMK says 80's lack of timely coaching adjustments. Okay. I have like a problem with this because as critical as I've been of David Adelman, and this is a more nuanced criticism, so I'm not going to apply what I'm about to say necessarily to that comment about a lack of timely coaching adjustments. But I've seen a lot of people talk about DA as a coach that doesn't make adjustments, and that is simply not true. DA makes lots of adjustments. Perhaps the problem is that he makes too many adjustments and doesn't give enough time or like doesn't put enough on the players themselves to actually execute on those adjustments or even execute on the original game plan. Sometimes you can argue the original game plan should be better so that they don't have to make as many adjustments. The timeliness is a problem for me in terms of how long it takes him to call a timeout when the other team is going on a run. I actually think he's been better about that this week, but the season as a whole, it's been like really, really bad. And I don't usually notice this as an issue for my team. It's like a thing I see other fan bases complain about. But this year I'm finding myself being like, that timeout was 2 or 3 possessions too late.
Yeah, he's trying to be like chill and saying like, oh, I trust the guys and all that, but may not be a great decision.
Yeah. Okay, so you say AG injury for your number 1. I'm gonna go with, what do I have here? I like made all the text white so you wouldn't see mine. Okay, I said playing OKC or San Antonio in round 1, which is falling into the play-in. Basically, that means you fell into the play-in and are playing for a 7 or 8 seed, which is like, it's not unlikely at this point in the season. I'm looking at, let's look at the Phoenix Suns schedule here. They've got the Spurs. They've got some teams, but like these are all games that they might win except the Spurs game. Honestly, maybe they lose to the Hornets. They play the Rockets. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's like 4 games left out of 8, 9, 10 out of 10 that they won't be favored in. So it's going to be pretty tight down the stretch. Like Denver has to take care of business. They've got tiebreaker over the Suns, which also helps, but it's definitely not a guarantee that they don't fall behind them in the standings, which then you're talking about a 7 seed. You're talking about the 7 seed playing to keep the 7 seed at that point because you're then in the play-in tournament. Okay. So that's what I would say is the top, for me, most likely thing that would prevent Denver from making a deep playoff run. Because I just think San Antonio is more of a question mark because they lack playoff experience and this and that. But they're a really good team. They have some clear matchup advantages against us offensively. And defensively, like, I don't know. Like, we haven't played Wemby this year. That's like another thing this season. That's like, he just hasn't played it. So I don't know. But he's definitely better than he's been in years past. We've also been able to score on that team in years past, but it's been very heavily reliant on outside shooting, and it would just become a shot variance series. And like maybe Denver wins that, maybe they don't. But if we play OKC in round one, like, it's curtains. Because this team is not capable of beating OKC in a round one series. OKC is just a way better team than them.
Remember when people last year were talking about wanting to get a more difficult team earlier, and it might improve your chances because you're like technically more fresh, like you weren't beat up in a previous series. Would that? I mean, I think that playing OKC or San Antonio in the first round, like even if we somehow beat them, will make it really hard to keep going.
Sure. Yeah. So you could even say like even play. I didn't say getting beaten by OKC or San Antonio. Yeah. So that was forward thinking on my part, and definitely not an accident. But yeah, that would also beat you up for further rounds and potentially make it harder to make a deep playoff run. RX Smart says, I'm fairly confident we beat OKC in 6 games fully healthy. We took them to 7 with a far worse roster. This team has worse chemistry, though. Like our current team has worse chemistry. So I think they need more time. I think they need at least a series before they see either of those teams for me to feel like, all right, it's anyone's game. San Antonio may be closer to like it's anyone's game because I just don't know what that team looks like in a postseason setting. But I'm very wary of the what seem like clear matchup advantages that they have against us. Mm-hmm. Aki says the Thunder would rock our shit round one with the level of execution right now. Yeah. I mean,
do we need time like the gap? We need an easy team to
the execution gap between those two teams is very high, even when like I don't even think OKC played that well the last time that we played them. Or the one before that where they won without SGA, honestly. But we just couldn't execute down the stretch of those games. Tony B next is the NBA even mess with the Nuggets schedule. We have the most back-to-backs of any team. Why is that? Well, we were tied for the most back-to-backs at the start of the season, and then the Memphis reschedule made it added one, I think, because that game wasn't originally a back-to-back. And Denver's always going to have a lot of back-to-backs because our schedule always gets messed up because Denver is where it is. So there's like a function of we're never going to have one of the best teams or best schedules in the league. So it can only like the closer you get to neutral is good, but you're never going to have one of the cushiest, I should say, schedules in terms of travel. Okay. Snake draft. So I'm going to do the next one. You already took AG injury. Okay. I'm going to say Jamal injury next. And I don't mean this as like something that takes him out. I just mean something that diminishes him. This team is so dependent on him being able to be at least good. It's obviously helpful, similar to AG, just having him on the floor. But I think that's less true now than it's been in years past. Like Jamal needs to be doing stuff just because of like where this team is at and how defenses guard us more than anything. So that would be my second most likely thing that takes Denver out of contention for a deep playoff run.
Yeah. I was gonna do that.
And I say that because that's like a big factor thing, but it's also like I think next most likely because he's already injured, he's already kind of run down, he hasn't gotten a chance to rest the rest of this season, and it feels very much like 23-24, where it's like any little thing could potentially like really diminish his potential impact, and we're already seeing the effects of that. Yeah.
It's funny. I mean, I wasn't worried about a Jamal injury really, other than the fact that when everyone else got hurt, we had to play him a lot, and that was everyone's first concern, is making sure he wasn't the next one to get hurt. And now he does have the shoulder, so it's starting to look, the possibility of being injured and it affecting us in the playoffs is growing, which is so sad to see. And we can't really afford to give him any rest right now. And we already know how hard it is to heal up during the regular season, and during the playoffs, it's like pretty impossible. There are no back-to-backs, but you're playing a lot more minutes and everything's more physical. So
yeah. All right, you're next.
I'm gonna say just the defense. Just
Fair.
leave it at that. We do have to rise to at least a competent level. As you know, if you want to win a title, you either need your offense to be insanely good and the defense to be passable. And I think they can do that for sure. But I could also see us just not having the perimeter defense to really stop those elite guards in the playoffs and getting torched. It could happen.
By the way, Bennett Durando tweeted out a half hour ago that Peyton Watson is remaining out for tomorrow against the Raptors. So potentially only maybe 11 games left to get him back into playoff shape or get him into playoff shape. So, all right. So you got the defense. What's your next one?
Oh man. Okay. Another one. What's more likely? I'm just gonna say like a bad bracket, Matt. Like falling on a bad side of the bracket, and just getting really bad matchups all the way through.
Who are the worst two teams to play? Like realistically, I think like we both agree you don't want to be in OKC's side of the bracket,
Yeah, like
or would you
have to
rather
play-
be there than San Antonio?
I mean, yeah,
I
it's tough
still
because
think
all
that
of them
San
are
Antonio
bad.
is a worse matchup for us than OKC, but you don't know how that team is going to actually perform come playoff time, so they're more of a question mark. And we
Mhm.
know OKC is so good, so
But it could be one of those things too where hope you could get lucky. We get the Rockets in the first round, and then the next round someone's taken out
so
Minnesota or something. Or someone's taken
who
out
of the 3 through 6, I guess, or 3 through 7 would you not want to play in round 1 or 2?
of the 3 through 7.
Yeah.
I mean, Minnesota, I still don't want to play.
They're just exhausting. I actually think that Denver beats them in a series, but they're exhausting.
Yeah, I think we can do it for sure.
Yeah, that's fair.
So just like, the wrong matchup.
I like that. Bad bracket / matchups. All right. Next on my board is Jamal and Jokic can't be good through a full series. And this kind of plays into like the Jamal injury side of it, but it's also Jokic where it's like, can this guy be good for 6-7 games in a row? I don't know. And maybe you don't need to, because you only need to win 4 out of 7, but obviously you don't want you to go 7 games in like both of the first 2 rounds, as we know from last year. But I'm worried because like the two of them have not been able to catch a rhythm really all season, but especially post All-Star break. The 2-man game, and it's like a team-wide thing, and we've talked about the various issues with like the way the teams have been guarding us and this and that, but it's also a function of miscommunications and miscues from Jamal and Jokic together, as well as their own individual play dipping substantially for like multiple games at a time. And Jamal kind of only popping up every so often, and then like Jokic is more of like the like streaks of like good and bad since he came back from his injury.
Okay, so them just not kind of putting it together.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the one after that, the role players can't play well at the same time. Enough role players not playing well at the same time. Catching a rhythm together, catching a rhythm at the same time that Jamal or Jokic do. And it's just like the team kind of chemistry never really coming together either.
Okay. So like, just not getting a consistent level of play and quality. Okay. I mean, I will say I do trust in Jamal and Jokic, as Vyacheslav was saying, but I don't know if with injuries it could cause them to not play well. Role players. I really want to see how Piwat is. I mean, we're all talking about Piwat in the chat. He could be someone who could completely swing it for us to just make it a little bit easier and be an X factor. So I'm really hoping he looks like the Western Conference Player of the Week when he comes back. Damn, I have to pick my last two now. Oh man. Okay, I'll just say coaching.
Ooh, I like that one. I didn't think about that.
I mean, I'm not like fully out on Adelman, but he's not making it easy to defend. And when you go out in the playoffs, a lot of people look at the coach sometimes for the right reasons, sometimes for the wrong reasons. I mean, the players are the players on the floor. And I've been starting coaching now. Granted, I'm coaching 13-year-olds, but sometimes I'm like, hey, I told them what to do. They didn't do it.
Yeah.
You feel kind of helpless as a coach. It's been interesting, but I get the NBA is a lot different. You got to be really on the ball and, communicate the right things at the right times and implement the right systems and game plans at the right time. So
are you starting
it could be that.
Go ahead. I'll let you finish.
No. What?
I was going to say, are you starting to understand kind of why coaches have like their guys that they are like, well, I don't want to go out there and have to say, like, I told them what to do. They didn't listen. I want to put guys out there that I know are at least going to listen to me.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm trying to play because it's 13.
Or they didn't listen or they didn't execute, whatever. Like,
I'm playing them all equally and I don't really punish them just because I want them to all get the same experience.
Well, sure. But are there some that you're like, man, I wish I could just pull this guy?
Yeah. Or are there guys that I wish I never had to play? Unfortunately.
See, you guys are getting
hopefully none of my players are watching this. I love you all. But anyway,
equally. He loves you all equally, guys.
Yeah, and like Aki brought up DA being out coach. Like, yeah, there's going to be matchup adjustments. We did pretty well in the playoffs. Everyone is pleasantly surprised with our team after firing Malone and having David Adelman. That teams didn't have as much to prepare, I guess, for Adelman schemes, though I don't think he changed anything that much that season. I think we kept it relatively the same because why would you? So yeah, it could be a thing. And then last one, oh man. I guess so. You said role player inconsistency, not playing at the right time. Could I say like lack of depth?
Ooh, interesting. What do you mean by that?
Just, like we went out, we tried to get Val, we tried to get up to get Duran.
Do you mean a specific kind of depth? So like specifically front court then?
Oops.
Or?
Yeah. I mean,
okay.
Or just across the board.
Like we have so many wings. I don't think that depth necessarily means that you have so many players, like a bunch of players that play consistently. Because once you get past the top like 3 or 4 on any team, you just get inconsistency. That's what you're paying for.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also just the nature of kind of the game too. There's only so many touches to go around, and only so many like defensive players that happen to be involved in given possessions, for example.
And I think it's related to my third one with not getting a good matchup. Like we just have less to work with
options,
to fix. We're not matchup proof, as we've talked about in previous postseasons. And just like I feel like we thought we were one of the most, or we improved our depth at least. Not that we were one of the deepest teams in the league, but we thought we improved, and it's kind of turning out that the depth's a little bit underwhelming. And it looks like Val's not going to play a lot in the playoffs. We have fans very frustrated with Bruce, but his 3-point shot's been better statistically. And yeah, there's still concerns. Power forward, backup guard. Yeah, we're not going to be playing Tyus Jones a lot in the playoffs. I'd be shocked if we did. But a lot of the people in the chat right now are worried about a 7-man rotation. They think, we're going to be overplaying our guys. And I don't think it's going to be that shallow, but it still is like, I'm wondering if we're going to have enough like guys to get this done, especially when there's teams like OKC and San Antonio and Boston. Boston, I thought, looked not deep at all at the start of the season, but they got Tatum back, so now they just are deeper.
That's a team I still don't buy.
I'm glad you don't buy them.
Been able to get through. I think they've been able to get through the regular season because of Missoula ball and being a low turnover team. I think that changes in the playoffs. And they're not going to be as good defensively as they've been, even with Tatum back. Like been in years past when they were like good, because they're not like great defensively now. Actually, they somehow like snuck into the top 10. I just again don't buy it. It's very like kind of similar to how the Nuggets were at the start of the season, where a lot of their like success is predicated on making like very, very, very few mistakes. But this is inevitably going to be. And like their front court sucks. I'm sorry. I like Nimi Ishiketa.
Yeah.
I wanted the Nuggets to sign him to a 2-way back in 2023 because I watched him in Summer League. I liked him and I liked Keon Ellis, and they didn't go for either of them. That's fine. Whatever. But you're not going to the postseason with Nimi Ishiketa as your starting center and being like, yeah, we're going to do something here. I don't buy that.
Yeah.
Then again, it's the East.
Hornets are perfect timing for this comment. Hornets or Hawks 8 seed run. Here we go.
Ooh. Let me see. Could both of them make the playoffs conceivably? It would be at the expense of the Heat or the Magic, which would suck. For me as someone from Florida. I think probably the Hawks. The Hornets are just they're 3 games behind. The Hawks are on an 11-game win streak. Hilarious. Then again, the Hawks are like too many games above 500 right now. The law of the universe says that the Hawks are supposed to be a 500 team, so that might rubber band back in like a really tough way. And the Hornets have just been pretty consistent since January, winning about 70% of their games. So maybe they do inch up into that 8th spot. It's going to be a tough play-in tournament. That's all I'll say. The Hawks are not good in the play-in. So that would be the way that the Hornets make it in. All right. My last reason here that would keep the Nuggets from making a deep playoff run is that they can't win a close game to save their lives. It would really suck to lose in the first round for this reason. In the last 2 seasons, the clutch has been iffy, but they got it done enough. They won at least like 1 or 2 of those games, even if they lost 1 or 2 of them, and then they like win some kind of handedly at home, but they've been terrible at home. May not matter this year because they're probably not going to have home court advantage. At this point in the standings and at this point in the season. I put like an or here because this is kind of related. I feel like if for any reason, and it could be related to anything else that we have in our other reasons we have, Jamal injury, related to the defense, related to coaching, related to matchups. If Tim Hardaway Jr. has to play 30 plus minutes per night, which is related to this close game thing because it often means that he's closing these games. I think that's a really bad sign for Denver and is not going to work out well in a playoff setting. So those would be my top 5 reasons.
Yeah, we had a comment about the refs being a reason. I kind of agree, but I'm not going to actually put that on my list. This is a good list, I believe. What did we miss, chat?
What did we miss? So I like that. I might actually put take a screenshot of this and put on socials. Could you change my top 1 to make it SAS for San Antonio for round 1? Yeah. All right. So that's it for our drafting depressing things that will keep Denver from making a deep playoff run. That's related to coaching, light chemistry. Let's go to next week's predictions because we didn't get to do them last week and we have a little bit of time depending on how people define the normal length of a podcast. All right. Let me know when you're ready with this box and we'll just run through these. All right. Versus Toronto. So this is at home against the Raptors. Darko said he's going to put point guards on Jokic. Have you saw some of the pregame
Yes.
practice media, whatever?
People have been talking about that in the chat today for sure.
What do you think here?
I think win.
Okay. I also think win. I don't remember. I'm like revealing what I wrote last night. I also think win. Yeah. They should beat the Raptors. The Raptors are good, but they're not that good. I'm like, man, it's at home though. But like coming off of like a nasty loss against Memphis, AG should be back though. Even though Peyton's not, like I just think you're better than this team. You should beat them. Scotty Barnes does guard Jokic well though, and we need Jamal to be good in this game because the Raptors just be forcing hella turnovers on this team. That was true even with Jokic out the last time we played the Raptors, by the way. Are any of these back-to-backs? Vyacheslav asks. I don't. The Mavericks game is the second night of a
the Suns and Mavs. Yeah.
Yeah, Suns, Mavs. All right. I've got an L for Portland. I just think this team sucks at home, and they're going to drop one of these. It's another division game. It'd be great if they won it. If I felt better about this team, I'd expect them to win it, but I just don't.
Yeah.
They've also been 500 for like ever. And like someone pointed out, they're like slightly below 500 since Jokic came back from his injury, which is true. They're like 462, I think.
We smacked them the last time we played them.
And then we lost the one before that. So
yes, we did lose the one before that. I'm still going to say a W. I feel like I thought that this stretch was going to be a very great stretch where we're going to win a lot of games. Obviously, we dropped the Memphis one and everyone's pissed. Understandably, people did talk about that game as being one we probably won't win. Like all the media was talking about, we probably weren't going to win that game, and it ended up being true. But I think we're going to put together a pretty good win streak here. So I'm going to stick with us keeping this up.
All right. Phoenix. What do you have for Phoenix?
Win.
At Phoenix. You've got to win.
That's going to be a little bit tougher.
I've got to win. I think both teams are going to be playing to try to get out of the play-in. Phoenix is going to be playing really hard in that game because for them, I think if we win that game, we stay out of the play-in, kind of not regardless of how the rest of the season goes, but it'll put another full game's distance between us and Phoenix, who we already have tiebreaker over. So they're going to be playing really hard, but we just outclass that team every time we played them, and it hasn't felt close. But maybe Jordan Ott will come with some voodoo magic. I don't know. So I also say win there. Okay, for Dallas, this is versus Dallas is on the road. This is the second night of a back-to-back.
What time is the Suns game? Let's look.
It's another one where they lose an hour.
Super late.
They lose an hour too.
I don't know if this is accurate, but it says 9 p.m. on my thing. I don't know if that's 9 p.m. Mountain Time.
So for me, it's it's going to be 8 p.m. Mountain Time for the Mavericks.
Okay. 8 p.m. And
the Suns game is at 9 p.m. Mountain Time. So the Suns game
is 9 p.m. Mountain Time.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. But so is the Mavs one, so that's
the Mavs is 8. Normal. So they lose an hour.
Better than playing at like 6 or something. But yeah.
Yeah, sure. But they still lose an hour. It's the second night of a back-to-back. This team kind of sucks whenever everything isn't, when their pillows aren't fluffed.
It's the weirdest time for a game. The Suns game is such a
9
weird time.
Is really late. But that it's weird that it's the Suns because usually the games aren't that late unless they're playing the Lakers or the Clippers games have been that late.
This is not even a true West
or like
Coast
Portland
game.
Yeah, the Phoenix Suns are practically in the Mountain Time Zone, even though they're not technically in the Mountain Time Zone. So it's strange.
Yeah. Sorry for all you European and fans, international fans
on the road, and yeah. So I'm gonna go with an L for Dallas. If they lose to the Suns, though, I think they'll win against Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I didn't talk about, but I've been talking about it online where I feel like we play bad, then we feel embarrassed, and we come out the next game, want to prove ourselves. We put together a better effort and win a game. We kill a team, then the next time we're complacent and we're happy and we kind of don't care and don't try and we lose. And it's just like this ping pong back and forth with that sentiment. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go with a win.
Wow. Optimistic Will.
Look at this. We're going to get a win streak going here, and we are not going to fall into the play-in.
All right. I think if they beat Phoenix, they've practically guaranteed that they don't fall to the play-in.
Yeah, so. That's going to be a good, just to get that win over them for sure.
Yeah. I don't know that the players will see it that way because I don't know what they actually care about. Like Chemistry says, will we the definition of a 500 team? Yeah, we're basically just like, the Atlanta Hawks. Except the Atlanta Hawks can put together streaks of winning and losing, and we can't put together a streak of winning. So,
it's just very back and forth. 2-2.
Yes,
2-2, Grace. Dang! Yeah. Look at this! Look at this!
I'm glad we got our predictions on the books so that it can anchor my anger for when they disappoint. Yeah, because last week I think I predicted them going 2-1 and they went 1-2, which is like, okay, off by a game. But it was already not like it was a very I have very like conservative predictions. So that when they fall short of those, that's when I get really annoyed.
So you're but you really are going with what you think, obviously.
It is what I think, but it's like it's the doomer side of me.
Okay.
Where I'm kind of like, okay, like surprise me, where I'm kind of asking them to surprise me, but at least meet that expectation. At least meet the doomer expectation. Right.
Yeah. I mean, the Nuggets could drop any game versus anyone, as we've seen, sadly. But this is such a good time to like finally get some shit together. And I think they'll rise to the occasion in this stretch. Mm-hmm. But I could see losing to the Suns and then beating the Mavs. The Suns seems like the hardest game to me. But
I mean, it is. Yeah. They're the best team that they play here in terms of record and net rating and all of that. I think. Let me see where are the Raptors in terms of like net rating? I don't even think they're top 10 plus 1.8, and the Suns are below that. So maybe the Raptors is like the toughest. Also, it's at home, which we just know how that goes. Thanks, Aki. All right. Well, if you guys have made it this far, we appreciate you guys the absolute most, especially Aki. Shout out. And Vyacheslav, of course.
Vyacheslav, Poppin, Like Chemistry.
Everydayers, Poppin. Yes, Like Chemistry.
JJ Redick News, Dahlia.
We really appreciate your comments. It really makes the show very JK lively.
Walrus, Mad Dog. A lot of you guys were talking a lot during the chat. Thank you very much. Thanks for being here.
Yes. Thanks for keeping each other locked in to the show as well through the chat.
Danny No 2ZP from New Zealand. Nice.
Oh, wow. International fan. If you made it this far, we appreciate you the most. If you like our content, please remember to click the like button, hit the subscribe button, as well as the notification bell, and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on socials, and maybe one day I'll post like a screenshot of the things that we do on the podcast when I'm less busy. And always remember that winning is fun and losing sucks.
Especially to the Memphis Grizzlies. Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.